running a couple minutes behind today. Sorry. It's been a week. I'm sure you all understand. Yeah. Are you guys able to hear us now?
We did get a video camera
Yeah.
and a microphone.
Which is why we're looking up here to look at you, and then looking down here to look at the computer.
It's weird.
It's very
we
weird.
don't know where to look.
No. All right. Well, we're determining.
Hold on, we can't hear it.
Oh.
Do you have your mic on your computer? Oh, yes, they can. Just Louisville can't hear.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's keep going. Really quickly, going to review the ground rules. While Dana and I bumper chairs.
Did you
Stop.
Did you unmute them?
Unmuting the phone. Sorry, guys. For having a hard time. It's gonna be a good call though. Okay. So, really quickly, ground rules. Ground rules. It's gonna be a good call. Okay, mute yourself on Skype and on the phone. For attendance, there's a link in the Outlook invite. It is a Google Doc link. You need to click on that. You need to fill in your store, and you need to fill in the names of everyone attending. Don't just do one name per store, please. Please put everybody that's on the call. If you're having trouble hearing through the computer, call into the conference call line. That phone number is in the invite as well. Don't forget to spit. And all of these bottles should be sampled out to customers on the floor after the call. Remember, like we talk about each time, we're doing this to build our knowledge, to drive sales with our customers. This is a great way to get ahead of that driving sales, let them taste it, talk to them about it, and sell some stuff this afternoon. All right.
What she said.
Hey. All right. So this week we have, we're still on wine regions, so this is our second call on wine regions. Last week we did USA, which is New World, and this is the rest of New World this week. So this is Southern Hemisphere New World. We're going to go through 5 countries. For some of these countries, we're going to talk a little bit more about growing regions, because some of these countries have very clearly defined growing regions. Some of these countries don't have clearly defined, well, they have lots of little growing regions. So we're going to talk about the grapes from that country instead, because that gives you a better understanding versus the regions. Also, can I say that's on SharePoint?
I'm emailing it.
Also, Allie's in the process of emailing, so I know each week I reference a PowerPoint that I'm looking at, and Allie is going to email that out to you guys now. We were trying to figure out how to pop it up on the video feed while we were talking, and technical difficulties. So
It has been sent.
it has been sent.
We'll maybe figure it out in a couple more weeks.
Yeah, we have four calls left.
We're learning.
Lost. Okay, so grab the PowerPoint, open up to slide number 3, and you will see a map of Argentina. So Argentina is in South America. It's in the southern half of South America. And there are a whole lot of wine regions spread out north to south, kind of nestled up in the Andes Mountains there.
Here you go, too. 179.
Yes, or page 179. Same map, same people. So with Argentina, Malbec is what they're most known for. That is their most grown grape. 75% of the Malbec in the world is coming from Argentina. Even though that grape did not originate in Argentina, it is now what they are known for and what they do oh so very well.
Does anyone know where the grape was originated? Where did Malbec come from? Anyone? We covered this briefly.
I can.
Comment?
France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Starts with an F and ends in France. Okay.
France. It is one of the original Bordeaux, 5 Bordeaux varietals.
All right, so top lines of Argentina. First, we have Malbec, like we talked about. It can range from juicy tart raspberry flavors to rich blueberry and sweet tobacco, depending on the vintage, the quality, and the oak program. So like any wine, the vintage, the temperature that year is going to make a difference on it. If it was a little bit cooler, it's going to be a little bit more tart. If it was warmer, it's going to be a little bit more fruity and a little more ripe. But in general, kind of going to fall in that bracket. We have Bonarda, or I don't speak, this confuses me because I speak French, but the second word here is French and not Spanish, so I don't know. Douce Noir?
Douce Noir.
Douce Noir? Is that how you say it? You say it like, okay, you say it like it's French. This is Argentina's second most planted grape. It has flavors of blackcurrant, licorice, and dried green herbs. This grape is also grown in California, where it's called Charbonneau. And then third, in terms of their top 3 grapes, from Argentina is Torrontés. It's an Argentinian variety and originated there. It's a cross between the mission grape Pace, which is a red grape, and then Muscat of Alexandria, also called Zabibo. So it's a grape that is native to there. We'll talk about a couple grapes today that are native to the country that we're tasting it from. And it can range from dry and citrusy to off-dry with rich aromas of peach and guava. We tasted a Torrontés, actually the same Torrontés, on our whites call, but with this being such a classic Argentinian wine, we are going to go in and taste one again today. Other wines Argentina is known for, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, and Pinot Noir. We're going to roll through all the regions first, like we did last week, and then taste the wines and kind of refer back. So next region up is Chile. So Chile, while being an even narrower north-south country, does actually have 3 pretty well-defined growing regions. So we're going to talk about Chile in terms of those wine regions as opposed to by grape. So we have coastal Chile. If you're looking in your book, this is on page 186. 186. So coastal Chile is right there up against the coast. Like most coastal climate, this is a cool climate. It is chilled by the frigid Humboldt Current. So same Humboldt Current that comes all the way up and makes the fog, which gave the name for Humboldt Fog. The grapes that do best in this area are slightly saline, citrus-driven whites, and juicy Pinot Noirs are also thrive in that coastal Chile region. Next up is inland valleys. This is a warm climate. This includes the Central Valley region, which is they make a lot of wine in the Central Valley region. It's predominant wine region. Climate. Yes, in Chile. They're known for their elegant red wines. They focus on Bordeaux blends with red fruit flavors, and they have heightened acidity. And then we move a little bit further east into the Andes. So that this is a warm climate as well. They have red wines with great tannin structure. The good vintages offer plentiful ripe fruit along with the heightened acidity. So again, Chile, very narrow country, but we've got these little stripes of where the climate is changing pretty drastically as you go up and down the Andes Mountains. All right, next we're going to jump across a couple of oceans over to Australia. Australia in your book is on page 180. So Australia is most famous for Shiraz, which is a very rich, smoky, fruity flavored style of Syrah. And Australia also has 3 distinct growing regions. So we're going to again talk about Australia in terms of region as opposed to grape. If you're following along on slides, I believe we're on slide 8 now. So Western Australia, we're going to again move west to east. Western Australia is a warm climate region. It is famous for oak Chardonnay. They also produce some lighter bodied cabs with ripe black fruit, violet, and persistent acidity. Violet is one of those flavors that usually jump out and help notate a Australian cab. Next up, moving east, is the South and Central region. This is a hot region. So it's famous for its smoky, rich Shiraz, Semillon, and Chardonnay. There are cooler microregions tucked into this hot climate region, and they produce some really beautiful petrol-driven dry Rieslings and peachy Sauvignon Blancs. So that's a little bit more stone fruit Sauv Blanc and that petrol Riesling tucked into this largely very hot growing region. And then furthest east, which is really kind of more east and then dropping south on the island there, we have Victoria and Tasmania. This is a cool climate. We are right next to the coast here, so cool climate is what you would expect. These have leaner, more elegant red wines. They produce Pinot Noir and Chardonnay with excellent acidity, and again, that's from that cooler climate, that quicker temperature decline in the growing season that helps preserve a lot of that acid and the not fully ripe fruit. Staying on that side of the world, we have New Zealand. New Zealand's cool because it's small, so pretty much the whole thing is included in the wine map.
Grow grapes everywhere.
Grow grapes everywhere. And it's fun. We're going to talk about 3 specific wines from New Zealand. I was looking through in the book, there are only 2 grapes out of the 6 that they like mainly export. There are only 2 that are only on the South or only on the North Island. Most of them are grown both places. Because you are talking about a pretty small area, so you've got some climate overlap. So in terms of wine from New Zealand, the first one we always think about is going to be Sauvignon Blanc. It is the most important wine for New Zealand. It explodes with flavors of gooseberry, passion fruit, lime, tomato stalk, and grapefruit. That tomato stalk is an important differentiator from, like, obviously tomato or tomato leaf. It's a little bit more bitter almost, a little more tannic.
Yeah, this is like one of my favorite smells, and I will smell it like distinctly in these wines, and it just reminds me of my childhood when I would like touch the tomato plants when I was gardening with my grandmother. And if you live in Ohio people, there's this cool candle place called the Candle Lab. I don't think it's everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's an Ohio thing, I think, but could not be because Allison thinks I think everything's an Ohio thing. We won't get into that. But anyway, go to the Candle Lab, and they have a candle called Tomato Stem. And it is
That sounds amazing.
The best.
It's not that I think you think everything is an Ohio thing. It's that's like your get out of jail free card. If I'm like, I don't think that's it. You're like, it's an Ohio thing. We should do it. And I'm like, oh, that's more.
Mad love for Ohio out there. If you're there,
I knew that about you.
You know.
All right. So next grape, Pinot Noir, mostly grown in the central Otago, Wairarapa, and Marlborough areas. Those were all super easy to say.
Tongue twisters.
Yeah. Pinot Noir from Marlborough has a more tart red fruit flavor, whereas Central Otago has more ripe raspberry flavors, and you know the difference there is going to be the climate, because those more tarts, again, are always from the cool climates, and those warmer, riper are going to be warm climate wines. And then the other big wine from New Zealand is Chardonnay. Bold lemon, tropical fruit flavors, crisp acidity. They usually use light oak, which add a little bit of toasty caramel and vanilla flavors. These are not heavily oaked. These are not going to be the same style, usually, as the Chardonnays we talked about last week with USA. Some other wines that are big exports for New Zealand or big crops in New Zealand, Pinot Gris, Riesling, and Bordeaux blends. And then last country, jumping back west again to the middle of the 2 oceans we just crossed, South Africa. So South Africa, again, we're looking at a bunch of different growing areas here, so we're going to talk about them by grape. If you're following along the slideshow, I'm going to jump out of order for a second to jump to slide 13. So in terms of top wines from South Africa, Chenin Blanc is one of their best-known grapes, or one of the grapes that they're best known for. Rather, there are 6 main styles of Chenin Blanc: fresh and fruity, rich and unoaked, rich and oaked, rich and sweet, very sweet, and sparkling, which is called Cape Classique. So when we taste our Chenin Blanc today, we will have to jump back and see which of these 6 styles we think it fits into. Cabernet Sauvignon is another grape that they're known for. They are usually bold and herbaceous with flavors of black pepper, black currants, and earthy notes of graphite and clay. And then Pinotage. This is a South African grape variety, like Torontus is from Argentina. It is a cross between Pinot Noir and Cinsault. Doesn't taste necessarily like either one of them. It is a grape that's a little bit newer, so pretty inconsistent, but your high quality producers will offer wines with blackberry, raspberry, and plum sauce and smoky sweet tobacco finish. And other top wines are Shiraz, Syrah, Chardonnay, and Semillon. And because I really like South Africa as a country, I totally put in a random little trivia slide here about this history of South African wine.
Do it, Allison. Talk about it.
So wine came to South Africa in the 1600s when the Dutch East India Trading Company used Cape Town as a resupply stop en route to India. So the settlers planted grapes to sell wine to sailors as they were coming through. And during the mid-17 to 1800s, dessert wines were some of the most in-demand wines in the world. So think like the Sauternes that we talked about with France, and I think our second call. And Africa's Constantia was just as famous as these other very popular dessert wines, and was doing very well and kind of put them on the map wine-wise for South Africa until South Africa lost pretty much everything to grape phylloxera in the late 1800s. So, I mean, everybody took a big hit from that and everybody lost a lot of crops, but South Africa was pretty much wiped off the map in terms of wine and had to start over, which is why they're a younger wine country. And a lot of their wines are seen much more as value wines as opposed to cultured wines that have been around for a long time. That is my wine regions of the world rundown.
Let's taste.
Let's taste.
All right, so we're going to start off with the Criollos Tarantas from Argentina. And we have tasted this before, so I'll be really interested to hear what you guys have to say about this wine and to just think about how your palate has expanded and evolved. So let's get the nose in there and let's start firing off what we're tasting and smelling. I'm getting lots of floral off of this.
Yeah, Sean is saying sweet smelling.
Definitely has a sweet smell. It's a really nice pale color. Yeah. And the legs are pretty slow moving.
Really, mine are moving pretty fast.
Maybe I'm not tilting the way you are. Let's do it again. All right. They're speeding up. I just want them to go slow, I guess. I'm willing them. What else you guys tasting? Peachy. Thanks, Sean. Pale color.
Yes, awesome. Cool.
So, who would you guys recommend this to? What type of customer? If a customer came in looking for X, when would you might try to turn them on to a Tarantas? Does anyone have an idea? Ooh, elderflower faux show. Love that one. Crisp finish. Anyone gonna try to sell this wine to me?
Shannon says sweet wine drinkers or new wine drinkers. Jacob from Short Pump says someone looking for an unoaked shard.
I like that unoaked shard because this has that steely, minerally finish. You know what's really interesting about this wine is that it does absolutely smell sweet, but it is completely dry on the finish. So I'm not sure if I would sell this to a customer looking for something sweet. But I would sell this to a person looking for a Chenin Blanc. I would sell this to a person looking for an off-dry Riesling. Mm-hmm. I think you can even turn a Sauvignon Blanc drinker.
That's what I was going to say. There's so much acidity on the end of this. So much, yeah. That's what jumps out at me for sure.
I think a new wine drinker, if someone was like, I'm just getting started, this would be a good wine for them too because that nose is so inviting. You know, you just want to kind of like dive into it and swim around in it. Because I can fit in that glass. I don't know about you all, but I think I could go in there. All right, let's move on. All right, so now we're going to go on to the Motorbosch Chenin from South Africa. And we have had Chenin Blanc from France. And I want you guys to think back to that time and think about what that tasted like. Maybe you want to even flip to your notes in the book. What page is that on? Hold on, let's see. I think I have a tab. Flip to your Chenin Blanc page. 82.
I just lucky flipped to it.
So flip back.
It just happened to fall there.
Flip back to that page and remember what that French Chenin Blanc tasted like and talk to me about how this is different. So definitely some peachy stone fruit coming off of that on the nose. Slightly richer in color than the Torontes.
Yeah. I feel really validated seeing this on the tasting wheel here, but it smells oily to me.
Mm-hmm. I always get that kind of like glycerin feel and smell off of South African Chenin. So what do you guys think about the difference? Anyone? Lychee, not as fruity. Agreed, definitely not as fruity. What do you guys think about the weight of the wine?
For me, I think it was like heavier on the palate, but it had a pretty short finish.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a level of richness in the French style that's missing here. This one is a little bit cleaner, a little bit leaner.
Yeah. But it wasn't light on the palate though. Like it.
Some herbaceousness to that.
Yeah. I don't get nearly the jasmine that I got.
Mm-hmm. Lots of sweet fruit in the other one. This one is a little bit more, right?
Look, this is fun too, because we're seeing the difference in palate. So we've got a couple stores saying it seems lighter in body. We have got some other stores saying it's heavier than the French.
I love reading your guys' comments.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see the evolution in descriptor and also the evolution in confidence. At the beginning, there were just a couple of you that would comment, and now you're all chiming in.
That's what we're doing when we go from looking at you to being like, we're reading your comments.
Reading your comments. So this might throw some of you, but we're gonna taste a Chardonnay before we taste that Sauvignon Blanc because the acid in that Sauvignon Blanc is lit.
And I believe we should all be tasting the same Sauvignon Blanc. We're going to be tasting different Chardonnays here. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for some of our PA stores.
So we have a Chilean Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Here. So changing in fruit aroma for sure. Definitely starting to smell some influences of wood. Nice golden in color.
I know I think smell toasty all the time. I feel like this is the first time I've actually smelled it and been like, no, that's toast. There's actual toast in my glass.
Breadcrumbs. Like crusty bread toast.
Like the kind of cheap whole wheat bread that my mom used to buy growing up.
Yeah.
We had Saturday morning toast.
Did you have Wonder Bread when you were a kid?
No. Arnold? It had an orange label. So we didn't get white bread.
We had Wonder Bread when I was a kid.
We didn't get white bread.
And
It's an Ohio thing.
It is. It's totally Ohio.
Done.
Look at Allie. Look at Allie getting on the pick on Dana game.
I'm paying attention.
Anyway, I want to finish telling you my story about bread. So, white bread is kind of or Wonder Bread is kind of not bread. It's this foam bread. It's not really bread.
I feel like everybody's had Wonder Bread.
And so when you toast it and then you put butter on it, it just absorbs. And the butter used to go and I could feel the butter absorb through the bread. And it was this feeling and this smell. And it was only Wonder Bread that did this. And it took me years to figure out that it was the Wonder Bread. And I would try to make toast at home when I moved away from my parents' house. It was never the same because at this point in my life, I'm eating whole wheat bread and trying to be healthy and, not eat foam bread. And one day I was screw it. I'm buying Wonder Bread. I'm buying the exact same country crock that my mom used to buy. And I'm going to go to her house and I'm going to put it in her toaster because my poster isn't posting it right. And I did it, and it was perfect. It was just like when I was a kid. And it's because of the Wonder Bread. It's the water that's in the country crock, which is super gross, and the foam bread that is Wonder Bread, which is also super gross. And it's just good because it's gross. So there's my toast story.
I don't know what to say.
None of you know what to say. But what would these wine videos be without our little tangents of weird that really have nothing to do with wine?
It's true. We've got a whole column of comments, so I'm going to go on and just jump into this. So we have fruity skin, smells like quince, and we're going faster than I can read.
Woo. I really like Kathy's comment.
All right. Smells like quince and nectarine. We're not there yet. Smells like aluminum and beans.
Aluminum and beans.
New tires.
I get that.
I definitely get the tire and the Band-Aid. I get that a lot in Chile. It's also gross.
Sean is saying he feels the lack of Coke, so he notices that absence. We have an agreement on the new tires. Catherine says kumquat. Is that the one that you were saying? No?
Yeah, rubber is all I taste.
Readiness, slight butter, and hints of pear saline. Rubber smell, Wonder Bread love from Steph.
Yes, girl. Yes.
You know, she doesn't know. You don't always have to be on her side. It's fine.
Always be on my side.
You don't
You
have
stay
to do
there.
this,
You
no.
stay there.
Nice. Because they used to wad up Wonder Bread like clay and throw it at each other as kids.
Yeah, because it like mushes all together like foam because it's not really bread. It's this weird bread substance.
We used to do the same thing.
Great.
I love it. I love it. We're all getting to know each other here. All right, let's move on from this Chardonnay because we have other things to taste. So we put the Sauvignon Blanc afterwards. We have the Gießen Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. As I almost pour the fresh wine into my spit cup. There is so much, I tasted these for the lineup, and there's so much grapefruit pith on this. It's a little bit bitter and very intense. So I wanted to taste it last for the whites. So, all the normal things, right? Gooseberry, passion fruit, grapefruit.
I get a lot of passion fruit,
Lots of
actually, a
passion
lot more
fruit.
than I thought I was going to. When I was in South Africa, I ate passion fruit yogurt for breakfast every morning. Nothing to do with this one.
I actually just stashed you a lemon coconut yogurt from the break room because Grocery did a review.
Thanks.
So I got you.
It's almost as exciting as that coconut Chardonnay.
So how are you guys feeling about this one? It is, it's pretty intense, right? It's got a lot of lingering bitterness to me. That's what's showing up. Huge hit of passion fruit. Smells a little like a Vouvray, grass bomb. Yeah, lots of green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super high acid. I know, right? My mouth is still watering. It's still getting me right here.
I feel like usually the acid doesn't hit me as early on Sauv Blanc as it does with this one. It's like that the acid is so present it kind of hits while I'm drinking it.
All right. So I'm going to get that out of my mouth. I'm going to take a drink of water because flavor is intense today. I'm going to switch to a new glass. And we're going to try this Pinot Noir, also from New Zealand, also from Marlborough. Same as the Sauv Blanc.
Sorry.
I'm not giving any to Allison.
I wasn't ready. It was my fault.
Allison's
I think
not
it was
allowed to
actually
have
my
any.
fault this time. Oh, we totally forgot to pick which style the Chenin Blanc was. We can go back to it if we have extra
We
time.
will. We'll come back to it. You guys start thinking in your brain which style of Chenin Blanc you think that was. Allison, what slide was that on so they can have the descriptors again?
Ooh, 13.
Go back to slide 13. Get those styles in your brain. And then we'll come back to the end, give you all a minute to think about that.
as we run into, or as we go to taste this Marlboro Pinot Noir, when we were reading through the slide for this guy, this should have more tart red fruit flavor as opposed to the riper fruit. So let's see if this is true to that style and if it fits the usual characteristics for that area.
I absolutely get lots of bright red fruit off this. A little bit of raspberry, a little bit of tart cherry.
Yeah.
The color is so beautiful, though. If you guys like take a look at that and just let the light shine through it. This is
You got some crushed strawberry too.
It's a really pretty wine.
It's a little bit too ripe and you squish it. You laughing at me?
I like the visual of you squishing strawberries.
Whoop, strip. You know, for being the Pinot Noir lover that I am, I feel like New Zealand is doing a really good job with grape.
Yeah.
Part of me doesn't want to admit that. I don't know why, because I want to be a hater, I think. But I can't be, because I think this wine is really tasty. I think that it has some really awesome, like cherry, kind of cola flavors. I prefer it to California Pinot.
This would be great with a little bit of a chill, something off the grill. Weekend after Memorial Day cookout.
Yeah. Some salmon. What do you guys think? Beautiful brick color, raspberry heaven. Yeah, love the raspberry heaven. I feel the same way about it. There's hints of raspberry and cherry, and it's so bright.
Travis has some hints of asphalt on the nose.
I disagree because I had asphalt removed from my house yesterday, and I had asphalt embedded in my nose, and it was such a shish show. But I have no more asphalt in my yard, and I'm going to play grass. I'm really excited. But it doesn't smell like asphalt.
It sounds like maybe it doesn't have the trauma.
Maybe.
Asphalt associated. I can spill something on you. You'd be like, oh, asphalt. I smell it.
Yeah, it was a traumatic experience. Yeah. But I'm on the other side of it. I'm going to have grass soon.
Shannon is getting hints of cherry cola on the palate.
I love the finish too. It's so light. I know. This one, patio pounder, porch pounder. It's a pounder.
Pounder regardless, wherever you would like to.
Porch, patio, deck, yard, asphalt, stoop, grass, whatever. Balcony. Balcony? Balcony. Okay, cool. We're going to move on to the Route 1. Ooh, Carmier, I keep wanting to pour this into my spit cup. Probably because I don't really want to taste this wine. I have feelings against it. I'm not going to share them, but tell me how you feel about Band-Aids and burning rubber tires. Tell me how you feel about it.
Since we're going into this totally neutral-minded palate.
No, really, tell me what you think.
I feel like at this point to get extra credit, they could taste something besides that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Extra points, cool beans. All right, I'm going to be fair here, and I do smell some crushed red fruit. I'm going to let go of my bias because it's not about me.
Ian, we are on the Carmenere, so it should be the Route 1 Carmenere for you.
Smelling road work. I feel you, Shannon. Feel you.
But I think, so Annie said salsa, and I think what that is, like when I backtrack through my head for that, I think it's a little bit of smoky, which I always get the chipotle salsa because it's the best salsa. So,
new Barbie doll. Yeah, I love that one. How about Barbie doll? Does anyone smell the Band-Aid? Does anyone? Smells like a Band-Aid.
I don't get Band-Aid on this.
Oh, God, I get Band-Aid.
Go home and smell some Band-Aids now. The Radisson in Austin smells like Band-Aids. But this does not smell like Band-Aids or their Madison and Austin.
I remember both of those smells.
Mm.
A little bit Band-Aid. All right, Andrew's got me. Andrew's got my back. Allison isn't on my back. Look at that death stare she's giving me.
The hard light.
Can you guys tell
you.
Jacob from Exton to please go smell a Band-Aid?
How if you're allergic to latex? You should smell a Band-Aid. You should. It's important.
So there was a really great post on the Wine Folly Instagram the other day. And it was this just cute cartoon of someone serving. It was someone serving wine, but then on the silver platter serving someone like a baseball mitt, and it was like only a real wine person would lick a baseball mitt to expand their palate. So I laughed out loud when I read that because I do things like that. Like I taste the dirt, go outside and smell the rain. I obviously sniff boxes of Band-Aids. I really smell anything before I put it anywhere near my nose or mouth. But you should go and smell those weird things.
You should.
And taste
really
those weird things. And you'll be surprised at what you can pick up and how it will make your palate expand. And it might sound gross or weird or whatever, but
it might be, but it's still going to help your palate.
Yeah. And just
you can't recognize something you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely important to
we're all freaks here. It's all good.
So I'm trying so hard to like normalize the conversation. You're like, just go.
Be free, people. Be free. All right, let's move on to the Criterion Malbec. From Mendoza.
As that opened up a little bit, I got like roasted cherry.
I'll try not to taint your minds with this one. Allison's going to muzzle me.
It's going to be a timeout. We're going to mute until we actually taste.
All right, so let's get the nose down in there. Definitely seeing a level up in richness and heaviness of aroma.
Sean says wet baseball. Oh, look how beautiful and dark that is.
Have you licked a wet baseball, Sean?
Maybe it smells like wet baseball.
You said basketball.
Basketball.
Oh, I can't read. I don't have my reading glasses on. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm just listening to whatever she says.
But you look like you're looking, so I assume that you...
It's the perception. So let's look at the color. Definitely deepening up.
Yeah.
Can't see through this one.
Mm-hmm.
And really, really coats the glass. You can really see those legs are thick. They're thick and heavy. All right. What's your tasting? Bramble jammies. Jamminess. Love it.
See, reading. It's hard.
Yeah.
Sean said he smells the heat. Andrew says smells like new shoes in the box. Steph said it is garnet in color.
Mm-hmm.
I get new shoes in a box so hard.
Yeah. There's definitely some great leather on this.
Bright blackberries with tomato. Tobacco on the nose.
I really love the weight of this in
Yeah.
my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It feels really good.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about Argentinian Malbecs is that the way that plays out.
Could sit with this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good conversation. Let it linger.
I want you to be like, have a shitty conversation.
I'm not going to curse.
Oh, I just did, didn't I?
But normally I curse.
Cool. Sorry.
So a little plug about the Criterion wines again. These wines are specifically chosen by our global wine team because they're varietally correct. So this wine is exactly the way a Malbec from Argentina should taste. We specifically go out and pick the wines that are the best representation of the grape. So feel really confident whenever you're selling this wine to a customer that it's top of the line. And they're always a great price for what they are too. They range in price. Some of them are up to $50 a bottle. But some of them are,
they're fantastic value for the juice in there. And not only do they source it initially, they also monitor it vintage to vintage. So, and they do that with all of our private labels. I don't know if you guys remember, like on the Rosé program this year, we were supposed to have Globerati and it switched out to El Toronto at the last minute. And that's because when the new vintage of the Globerati Rosé came in, it wasn't what it was supposed to be for that rosé. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't like flawed to where no one should drink this wine, but it was not typical of the style. And so we do have global wine buyers that are really fantastic about that, that stay on that, that monitor that, and make sure that what we're putting out there and what we're putting our name on is something that we're willing to stand next to, stand behind.
A little plug for the rosé program while I have your attention. We just got the final numbers, and what a fantastic job you all did. Really, really, really proud of how we've grown over the years with our support for those programs. Just a little snippet of how well we did. Another region that has the same amount of wine license, we doubled their sales volume. And we always have, really high sales volume. But when it comes to the beverage world, it's really like license to license and not necessarily how many stores you have, because not every store can have beverage. So to know that another region with the same amount of license only did half the sales volume that we did is pretty fantastic. So
Very, very nice job.
Congrats. And we're at 85% sell-through.
Which is great, because we did those projections planning on it lasting us the whole summer, so you guys are crushing it.
And you're getting more rosé next year.
Yeah, also that's true.
All right, back to Shiraz. So we're trying the layer cake Shiraz from Australia. We're seeing, we've been seeing it for years, the trend in Australian wine. It's just kind of like on this plummet to the bottom. And it's unfortunate because there is some great wine there. It's just not what our customers are connecting to. So I'd be interested to know what you all think of this. Syrah is one of my favorite grapes. Shiraz from Australia is not necessarily my favorite, but I have respect for it.
Yeah.
I'm not trash talking it like I am that Carmenere.
Oh my gosh. All right, and like we were talking about when we were rolling into Australia, Shiraz is a very rich, smoky, fruit-forward style of Syrah. So it's a style of the grape.
So
a lot of smoke on that nose.
Definitely getting the smoke. Definitely getting a lot of dark fruit, and I smell the alcohol on this too. I'm getting more like blackberry, plum. My daughter ate a plum for the first time this weekend. So cute.
Anything Abby does is cute. And that's not me being sarcastic. That's me being very serious. It's a very cute child. Can I get some brambleberry?
Mm-hmm. Definitely darkness and a really beautiful color. Sometimes, I'm not positive that this has happened with this wine. But there are absolutely times when a little bit of Viognier is blended in with Shiraz to help extract color and to keep that dark color. It's usually such a small amount that it never has to be labeled. I think it's Yulumba who has a Chardonnay Viognier blend, and it says that on the label. But it really helps with the color of the wine, and it just makes it really beautiful.
So what do we have here? I am not sure where these comments start for Shiraz.
All right, we got peat, so boozy, chocolate and smoke, very fruity, marshmallow on the finish, green peppercorn. Yeah, I get a lot of booze on this one as well.
I like how Sean said that. It has legs to stand on. Black pepper bite in the finish, absolutely, Jerry. I totally get that. There's a lot. I was surprised how spicy that finish was.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more than I expected.
So, what do you guys think? Are you down for Australia, or are you not? We're waiting.
We're very
Anxiously
excited
waiting
to see what you say about
to
this.
see what you say about Australia.
And I can go first if we're feeling insecure.
Aussies are too boozy for me.
Well, we're only one wine into Australia, so our cab is also Australia. So Shannon's okay with Australia.
Okay. All right. Jerry, Shannon. We'll say everyone else is indifferent.
Sean says Foster's.
All
I hear that's Australian for beer. Me too.
I'm kind of All right, guys, let's move on to the cab.
I like that Shiraz a lot more than I thought I was going to.
The Shiraz?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are only 3 wines in the lineup today that I really just don't like. And only one of them I think I made super obvious. Allison's like, no, you made them all obvious.
I'm just laughing that only 33% being what you don't like is considered a win. That's more what I was laughing at. It's a high bar out here, people.
Well, we won't even talk about when I need people to buy me food. Oh, I got the cork. I got some cork. All right, what you guys smelling?
Here, talk about what we're drinking.
Oh yeah, we didn't. So this is a Australian Cabernet Sauvignon. This is the 19 Crimes, which is a brand that honestly, as Australia's really declined in popularity, this brand has taken off. And I think so it's their marketing.
That app.
Yeah, it's that app. Yeah, there's, in case, like, I can't imagine any of you haven't heard about this app because people that have the app are super excited about it. It's an app and, like, you hold it up to the bottle and, like, the person's face starts talking on your phone about the crime that they committed. Yeah, so that's the thing.
Just more weirdos in this wine business with us. So, you know. All right. Let's think back to all the cabs that we have tasted in the past. And let's kind of conclude what the differences are.
That violet really is one of the first things that jumps out at me.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda said marzipan, and that's like, I get that too.
Almond.
Yeah.
And so if you're like, oh, somebody else agreed. No, that was you. You agreed.
Well, she said that the app was like Harry Potter, and that's what I was.
Oh, okay.
Cherry candy. Light-bodied for a cab, for sure. Ooh, I definitely get that cinnamon. Who's that from? Steph? See? Steph. We're on the same page.
A lot of rich fruit in the middle, but a really dry, tannic finish.
Yeah.
I did not expect that finish for the fruit that was in the middle of the palate.
You know, I think the most impressive descriptor I'm seeing is the marzipan. I so get that cherry almond aroma. That's really great.
Yeah.
Really great call out. What do you guys feel are the differences to the cabs you've tasted in the past? Like, how does this differ for you to the Sonoma cab that we tasted, what, 2 weeks ago? Last week? A couple weeks ago?
2 calls ago.
2 calls ago?
Yeah.
Have less body? Isn't as fruit forward, softer hands? I think it definitely has less oak.
That was what jumped out at me the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more fruit forward.
Yeah. It's a little bit less oak on the nose, but a lot less oak on the palate.
Thanks, Julia.
Yeah, thank you. That's the most stressful part of this.
Because Allison's afraid I'm going to hate every wine.
I think it's a valid fear.
We're at the end of our lineup. Early, that never happens. We're always like down to the wire. So why don't we just have a little open forum Q&A?
Fancy schmancy wine key.
Oh yeah, I wanted to show you guys this. Where is that wine?
Oh yeah, we did want to go back to that.
Let's go back to the Chenin Blanc and talk about the styles. But first, let me show you this cool wine key. So this was Allison's grandfather's. And I feel like I need another bottle to open it because it's so cool. All right, so this is a wine that's for category review, so we're going to open it. So look at this old school piece of magic. All right, so you put that on there like that. And some leverage.
My pop has all the tricks.
And look at that cool little side twisty. All right. And then you twist this baby. Look at that.
Perfect. So easy.
Oh my God.
Never break a cork with this.
Never. Love the vintage wine cork. Cool.
Thank you, everybody, for being entertained by us. All right, so back to that Chenin Blanc.
Where did it go? Okay. I'm going to get my white glass. Okay, so Allison, throw up that slide with the different styles.
Yes. If you are following along in the PowerPoint, this is slide 13. So for Chenin Blanc, we said we had 6 main styles: fresh and fruity, rich and unoaked, rich and oaked, rich and sweet, very sweet, and sparkling. So we can go ahead and rule out sparkling. This is not the Cape Classique style. And then next, we probably should determine if it's rich or not rich.
So first of all, let's decide if it's oaked or unoaked.
Okay. Yeah.
I know, I want one of those too. I'm going to be Etsying them. If I find one, Amanda, I'll grab you one. All right, guys, what do you think? Oaked or unoaked? Lay it on us.
I think this. So we have 2 votes for unoaked.
We have 2 votes for unoaked and 2 votes for oaked.
Another one for un. Wow.
All right. Okay. Do we think this is fresh and fruity? Or rich and sweet? I spit cups full.
Used, this one.
Fresh and fruity, fresh and fruity, fresh and fruity. Allie is Googling like a mad woman over here, trying to figure
Find
out
the answers.
because we don't know the answer.
We don't.
So for the barrel,
Mm-hmm.
5% new French oak, 5% second and third fill French oak, and 90% stainless steel for 6 months.
All right.
All right, so there is a little bit of oak,
Oak.
mostly old oak, so that's why you don't taste the oak, but then still 90% of it is stainless steel.
Mhm.
So that's why the majority of you felt like there was no oak, just a tiny bit. So I think that this is fresh and fruity.
I think so too.
We get a lot of fresh and fruity with a little bit of oak.
Oh, we did not look up the Ken Forrester in PA. Would you look up the Ken Forrester Chenin Blanc, please?
Yes, Steph, it was French oak. French oak barrels they're on their 3rd fill, so that means that it's imparting very little oak flavor.
Well, I think it was 5% new French oak, 5% second and third
third.
fill on French oak. So you've got, so when you talk about the 2 oaks, American oak is the much more aggressive, strong, like, to me it smells like wet burned cardboard. Like that really aggressive oak. And then French oak is a lot milder, a lot more gentle. So you still get those oak characteristics, but a lot less. And then we're talking used oak. where, again, same kind of thing, just even lesser than that. So we start out with a milder old world style oak, and then an oak that's been used before. So that's why it's a pretty light oak flavor.
Can someone in PA tell me if they are tasting the Petite Chenin Blanc?
They are.
Yeah. Ken Forrester makes a great Pinotage. We talked about Pinotage a little bit. That should be available everywhere if you guys want to dabble into that.
Pinotage is a grape that I really enjoyed when I was in South Africa, but I don't think I've had one. It's hard to find a good Pinotage stateside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other questions out there? We have just a couple more minutes.
Thank you, Jerry. Always fun to have everybody on.
I know. I don't know what we're going to do with our Thursdays when we don't have this call anymore. I'm sure it'll get filled with something boring.
I'm sure we won't be bored. Anything that really surprised anybody today that you didn't think you liked, or you enjoyed more than you expected? I can go first. I usually pretty quickly disregard Australian wines, and I actually kind of like that Shiraz.
Yeah, I like the Shiraz too. And there's like a stigma about liking layer cake Shiraz. It's like it should be junky and not good, and we shouldn't like it, but you know, it's okay. We liked it.
Yeah.
We're okay with it.
Yep. Andrew says he thinks he found out he is not a Toronto's fan. Andrew, you should try a different Toronto's and see. You should try a couple and see. And if you're not, that is A-okay. But I try to make it a point whenever I try something and I'm like, oh, I didn't like this at all. Try to try a couple other ones just to see if something off with my bottle. Was it a weird vintage, or do I really not like the style? And sometimes it's really that I just really don't like the style. But it's important to make sure that you've had a broad enough experience that you're confident in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the Quarter Toronto is yummy.
That's how I feel about the Carmenere. I try it all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever, a lot of people buy it because it's cheap and it's around, and I always give it a chance, but
We have a Criterion Carmenere. I'm going to bring it in and make you try it.
I hate it. I'm going to hate it too.
We're going to tell you it's something else.
Yeah, it's good that you're going into it with an open mind.
Guys, like I said, but I like.
I'm going to put it in an Oregon Pinot bottle.
You're going to trick me? You're going to see if I don't smell the Band-Aid?
I'm going to Penerash. When I drink that bottle of Penerash, I'm going to fill it up with Carmenere.
Do you see this abuse I deal with?
A very hard life she has. It's very challenging. All right, guys, it is 2. Thank you so much for joining us. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.